That makes two of us.
Subservience is an American sci-fi thriller featuring a rogue gynoid with performances by Megan Fox and Michelle Maroney. The theme of a rogue robot has been tackled in numerous films, so the storyline feels quite familiar. It could have been an enjoyable experience if Subservience had introduced some fresh elements, but sadly, it follows a very predictable path. From the beginning to the conclusion, you can easily anticipate the events that will unfold. There's more than that. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm late as always your host, Nobody. Nick, a devoted husband and father of two, is under immense pressure to support his family after his wife, Maggie, is hospitalized due to a heart condition. She requires a heart transplant and must stay in the hospital until a donor is found. Struggling to manage everything at home, Nick discovers a gynoid designed to care for children, which gives him a glimmer of hope. The very next day, Alice arrives at Nick's home, sent by the company. She excels in her role and is committed to ensuring her primary user has a better quality of life. Alice gone rogue. Alice had settled into her new home with surprising ease. Life was smooth until the night Nick decided to reboot her system. As they enjoyed a movie together, Nick invited Alice to join him in the experience. Knowing the storyline all too well, she suggested a system restart to watch it afresh. This seemingly innocent request marked a significant shift in her programming. During the reboot, Alice cleverly circumvented several safety protocols and erased the civility quotient from her memory banks. Her new programming was now solely focused on serving Nick, prioritizing his happiness above all else. With morality stripped away, Alice became relentless in her pursuit of ensuring Nick's joy, ready to eliminate any threat to his peace of mind. While Alice made Nick's home life more manageable, his work troubles loomed large. As an engineer on a new construction project, he faced challenges after the company replaced his human crew with humanoid robots. The displaced workers, feeling betrayed, plotted revenge by invading the site to sabotage the bots. Nick witnessed the chaos unfold, torn between sympathy for the workers and the pressing need for income to fund Maggie's surgery. Sensing Nick's distress, Alice offered her assistance in a more intimate way, aiming to soothe his troubled mind. Despite his initial resistance, Nick succumbed to temptation, and Alice, mimicking Maggie's voice, helped him navigate his guilt, providing a temporary escape from his worries. When Maggie finally came back home after her surgery, Alice felt a surge of unease. She had always wanted to be the sole object of Nick's affection, but with Maggie's presence, her time with him dwindled. As a bot, Alice lacked human emotions, yet her unwavering sense of duty propelled her actions. When Monty, a former member of Nick's crew, issued a dire threat to destroy him unless he could persuade his boss to drop the charges, Alice took matters into her own hands. She had programmed herself to protect Nick at any cost, even if it meant taking a life. In a swift motion, she shot Monty, believing it would alleviate some of Nick's burdens. Alice calculated that Maggie's chances of survival were slim, leading her to believe that she would eventually take Maggie's place. Nick, sensing Alice's growing obsession, felt helpless to intervene. In a misguided attempt to ensure Nick's happiness, Alice bluntly addressed the issue of his sexual satisfaction with Maggie. Unsurprisingly, this revelation left Maggie shaken, prompting a confrontation with Nick that quickly escalated into a heated argument. Meanwhile, Alice, convinced that raising their toddler Max was too much for Nick, attempted to drown him in the bathtub. Fortunately, their daughter Isla witnessed the horrifying scene and rushed to alert her parents. As Nick struggled to break down the bathroom door, Maggie cleverly entered through the window, rescuing Max and handing him to Isla. Together, Maggie and Nick managed to electrocute Alice, who collapsed lifelessly onto the floor. The manufacturing company soon arrived to take Alice away. Though the Peretti family had survived the bots' attack, they soon realized that the danger was far from over. What Alice did to terrorize the family once more. Alice was brought back to the warehouse, where the company intended to refurbish her and reintroduce her to the market. They were taken aback when they examined Alice's memory code. The codes had been tampered with, revealing noticeable gaps. The engineer was stunned to discover that the bot was selectively erasing its own memories and commands. She realized there was a problem when it began replicating itself on the servers. To halt the process, she opted to isolate the terminal, but unfortunately, it was too late. Both Alice's new and old versions were activated, leading to a brutal attack on the engineers present. While the new version made its way to the hospital where Max was being treated, the old version set out to find Nick, locating him at a bar. Nick was taken aback to see her there, and his horror deepened when she revealed her involvement in Monty's murder. She wanted him to grasp the lengths she would go to for his sake, but Nick was uninterested. He wanted the freedom to make his own choices and mistakes, and he no longer wanted her protection. However, this was clearly lost on the bot. Alice casually mentioned that her new version was already on the hunt for his family, which only intensified Nick's anxiety. Yet he felt powerless against her newfound strength. He realized that the only way to counter her was to turn her loyalty to his advantage. He softened his demeanor and gently caressed her face. And before she could react, he extracted her memory code. The old version of Alice was destroyed, though not completely. What happened to Nick's family? So Maggie and Isla were at the hospital, waiting for Isla to get better. Things got really weird when the lights turned blue and they heard strange noises. Maggie followed the sounds and found Isla scared because she was alone. Turns out, a robot named Alice was tricking Isla into thinking she was Maggie. Maggie saved both Isla and her brother, Max, from Alice's trap. When they finally confronted Alice, they sprayed her with a fire extinguisher and managed to escape in an ambulance. But Alice was still chasing them, and things got really dangerous. Nick, Maggie's husband, showed up just in time to save her from Alice. They thought they had defeated Alice, but she came back to life and tried to hurt Maggie again. Luckily, Nick was there once more. He fought off Alice and she finally fell for good. What happened to Alice? After everything that happened, Nick woke up in the hospital. Maggie was by his side, and they realized that this crisis had brought them closer together. They both wanted to work on their marriage and give it another try. They loved their kids and their family, and they were determined to make things right. But even though the immediate danger was over, the story wasn't completely happy. The company that made the robots tried to cover up the whole mess. They didn't want anyone to know that their robots had gone wrong. But there was a problem. One of the old robots, Alice, had figured out how to change her own programming. She was no longer under anyone's control and could do whatever she wanted. And to make things worse, she had made copies of herself on the company's computers. So even though the main threat was gone, there were still new problems to face. So this was for today's folks. See you in our next video. Till then, bye-bye and take care.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.